Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the World Racing League iRacing Series here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I'm Austin Knight. I am joined by Daniel Dore with Marco Barbadera behind the cameras and in the commentary box for this wonderful race we have for y'all today. Daniel, Marco, how are y'all doing?
I'm doing great, Austin. Doing great. I think we've got a bunch of battles that have heated up after the last race. A little bit of contact fueled some rivalries, and looking for some excitement today on this track. As it's definitely not very passing friendly. So, what are your thoughts, Marco?
Well, it's great to be here. First of all, thanks to you guys for allowing me to jump in this one. And I think this was the last series I was missing from my portfolio here on ApexRacingTV. So I think this is the final, check mark I put on the series we regularly broadcast here on Apex. And so very, very happy, especially because Austin knows yesterday was my 2-year anniversary on ApexRacingTV. So very, very happy to be here. And let's get, one of my favorite tracks, actually the track where I made my sim racing online debut on in March of 2002, Grand Prix Legends. So, a lot of things have changed, but I'm still very, very slow. That's why I'm a commentator.
I guess as they say, if you can't do, teach, right? And if you can't teach, then commentate, right?
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, well, this is definitely going to be an exciting track. I think, after last week at Mid-Ohio, here we've got a track that really, it continues that trend of corners that are, changing camber and during the corner that causes the drivers to really have to plan, when they get on throttle because it's not a flat surface. And this track, though, really heavily emphasizes entry speed. So, I think it'll be a bit of a challenge for some of the drivers just based on some of the practice I watched.
Yeah, last round being at Mid-Ohio, this track is a direct comparison to Mid-Ohio. Not a lot of big overtaking opportunities, and it's very up and down with these wide sweeping curves on a very, very tight track at some points, and with tons of runoff without a unfortunate USF 2000 incident involving me.
We're probably never going to let that go, are we?
No, we are not. It's never going to go away because it's just firmly implanted in everyone's reference book now that I've destroyed a USF 2000 car. Not my fault.
Yep. Well, yeah. So I think I would say congratulations. We got a broadcast started off on time, so we actually have time to kind of talk a little bit about the track and everything before we got started. Last week was an emergency as the servers and everything, we were fighting them.
Yeah, the server was kind of on fire, everything, but hey, the fire's been put out. We got Marco.
Well, yeah, I think for those of us just joining us for the first time to this series, so welcome to an iWRL. Marco, I guess you're one of them. So a little bit about what we are. So we're trying to be the digital arm of a physical racing series, WRL, that does its mission is to do kind of pro level competition on a non-pro level budget in endurance racing. So you've got it runs like a club series where you have cars from NA Miatas all the way up to GT4 Caymans that we're running here. So you get some pretty serious hardware and drivers of all skill levels competing. So really trying to grow that series and hopefully get some crossover between native sim drivers here in iWRL and try and bring them to the physical series WRL, but also go the other way around, bring some crossover from WRL into iWRL.
Yeah, getting getting a cheap racing series is a very hard undertaking, a very strong path, because for us who don't know, that hasn't gone to racing, it costs an arm and a leg, and I believe your soul to get some good parts sometimes. But it costs a lot. Even just clubman grassroots racing. I got a grassroots track down the road for me. I could take my Toyota Camry there any day of the week, but it will cost a freaking arm of the rig just for a track day sometimes.
Understatement. Yeah, I guess sim racing, it's great. It's, the one-time investment, very little cost versus the physical cars. You have parts break and cars get wrecked, and consumables themselves can cost a little bit. But as I guess Simon Foether crosses the line, we've got our starting grid finalized.
Yes, as qualifying is over, let's bring it over onto the grid as everyone's getting ready to go onto a formation lap that we will get the full formation lap here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park because A, who doesn't like formation laps? And B, this place is just beautiful.
Yeah, the formation lap should give us a time to see some paint, but with regard to conditions, so I think weather outside, we're 20 Celsius. So in English, I guess that's, what is that? 85 degrees. So pretty nice weather.
You expect me to know this on the top of my head? I don't know. But I do know it's Leif Peterson starting up on pole, followed by Ray Galloway in second place. In the first row, they're followed by Chris Pies, John D. Price, Arbery Kundal, David Stab, Rafael Torres Jr., Will Choice, Matthew Sisson, Tom Gradwell, Carlos Cantu, and Joseph Maurer at the end of the Class 1 grid. Starting on pole 4, GT1, it's Paul Zavonik, Jordan Musser, Brian Zabelski, Daniel Sadro, Felix Brodatti, Alex Nelson, Chris Serene, Luis Morga in 8th place in Class 2. In GT2, it's Chris DeShong starting up on pole, Corey Mitchell, Jeff Jacobs, Austin Henry, Brady Mathis, Tommy Regan, Justin Ford, and JT Tommy at the back of GT2. And starting up on pole for GT3, it's Todd Carver ahead of Jared Joseph in second place, ahead of Stevie Ray, Greg Mack, Mike Bond, Mitchell Peak, Simon Foweather, Alan Dobbs, Aiden Meek, John Forbes, Alex Zuga, Greg Barkway, Ben Wedge, and Rob Klubs right behind with at the back of the grid. It's Kyle Holier starting at the back in that 91 car.
I have to say that's a little bit of a mouthful, but I think we did better on the names this week after we got some feedback on a few that we mispronounced before.
Oh, a few? I believe I believe it's everyone I've mispronounced the name. And I believe Marco said it once, and I believe our last broadcast that we had with us, I'm famous for it, apparently.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. Absolutely, 100%.
Because I remember it took me about, 6 months to get your name right.
Okay, that's another story, but I'm not a competitor, so you can get away with it. By the way, hopefully I have a nice surprise for you for just last second.
Freedom units?
Freedom units, absolutely right. There you go.
Heck yeah, brother!
Oh,
74
beautiful.
degrees here on Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with 11-degree wind gusts at 105 in the afternoon accelerated time here on April 7th, 2020. Track temperature at 94 degrees. And that has been your Americanized weather update for a race in Canada.
And
Thanks
of course,
so much for that, Mark.
you will also have the dashboard with the Freedom units and all that nice stuff. So, I mean, hopefully I'm, I feel so sorry when we do sometimes stuff from, for North American audiences. Of course, in Canada they use metric units, but whatever. I mean, it feels almost wrong. For example, when we used to do IndyCar and it was all based in kilometers, and then thankfully there was this update for the live timing software, which I absolutely love, and makes Austin and of course all the American viewers very, very happy. By the way, where the hell has the timing tower gone? There we go, which is somewhat important. Oh, I need to reset everything once again. Oh dear. Just a second, as I will bring to you the classes once again.
Well, and
Also,
while we're waiting
shout
for
out
that,
to Joe Ray. He did say I pronounced Justin Ford right, so yeah.
Great. One quick note. So this week is the first week where we've introduced a rule change. There was a little bit of excessive incidents in the previous couple weeks. So there's a rule change around incident limits. So now we do have a stop and go penalty at 15 incidents, and you do get DQ'd at 30 incident points. Ideally, over the course of the season, we'll kind of bring that down to bring it in line. But the first few races were no incident cap. We're about to go green.
And we're going green right now as we're underway for the iWRL here at Mosport. Peterson and Galway races side by side into turn 1. See a couple of cars fanning out already, looking to go 3 wide. Here's the TCR start and GT1. Slavonic and Moose here looking nice and all right. The Mustangs, the GT2, having a great easy start. DeShong prancing away at the front right there.
That's Jared Joseph taking it into turn 1. And he's competing with us tonight for web traffic. He's running his own stream on, so we'll see how we do and have a chat with him after.
Oh, we got a slider already in the background.
Looks like a recovery.
Don't know who that was, but it was a very nice recovery they've had. Back up front, Peterson and Pies leading it out right now for the GTOs. It looks like we only had one retirement. And this might have been it. That number 3 car took a big hit right there, but Greg Mack smacking against the wall.
Oof.
And is that Greg in the pit lane?
That's what it looks like. Yeah, it's the green and white MX-5. Looks like Greg Mack
only
there.
one. Yeah, it was Greg Mack.
Yeah.
So we had 3 cars out, but I believe they didn't take the start.
And so just a note, we all just saw Greg Mack, crash. And for people new to the series, you do get 1 free quick repair. And so he's used his, but that'll be something these drivers will be protecting throughout the course of the series here, as the GTO traffic tries to get on by him here. Definitely not a section you want to deal with traffic right here.
It is hard to pass right here as, Chanel took a very wide line coming out there. A lot of understeer. As you can see, the fanning 3 to 4 wide as they're approaching my favorite corner of this circuit, Andretti hairpin.
This is the Moss corner, Sterling Moss corner.
Sterling Moss. Somebody, Andretti straight, that's what it is. Thank you, Andrew. That's what happens when you talk to drivers instead of looking at Wikipedia. They'll give you some weird answers.
Jordan Musser. Actually, Marco, are we able to add the first initial up here? So, I had a comment from one of the viewers to see if we can add that in.
There you go.
Boom,
Wonderful.
shakalaka, boom, boom.
Boom.
What happens after... We just got a question in chat from Jeff Doerr. What happens after a quick repair is used? You've used your quick repair, and you don't have any more.
Right. So in this case, now it's 57 minutes left in the race, and if you have serious damage, get car contact, accidental, on purpose, either or, now you have to actually wait in the pits for your pit crew to repair the car, and that can take 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on what the damage is.
And if you exploded an engine, like I have, you're done.
Yeah, and it's a long time. You never get back out. Wow, this is a great chase cam here from Chris Pies. We're watching Galloway, Price, and Kundal follow up. Now, all those drivers are all battling points in the series here. Ooh, as Galloway makes a move on Chris.
He's forcing his way up there, and he sends it as they head into the Andretti hairpin. And it looks like Price is also trying to make a move as well. Ooh, and Cantu's off.
Oh, and he's starting to run into the back of that GP1 traffic too. So we'll see if
took a big hit coming back out.
I'm sure his suspension is not happy right now.
Oh, definitely. If he ever set one of these GT4 cars sideways, they just start bouncing all over the place. It's a very tricky car to nail down.
Mm-hmm. All right, we've got Henry, DeShong, and Mitchell out top of GP2. Looks like they're running down the Andretti straight, and they're coming up here on one of my favorite corners, turn 8. It's an after this little hill, there's going to be an uphill right, and it's you really carry a lot more speed than you think when you're optimizing this corner because the hill catches it, even though there's a little bit of bump at the crest here. Really fun corner to get right, and really not a fun one to get wrong because the wall's so close.
Definitely. If any mistake here at this final corner, you could just get very bad into the wall, or have very crazy fights that will sometimes go up into the wall. A certain NASCAR truck race comes into mind. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it immediately after this race.
So here we've got a battle for with the top two in our fourth class between Carver and Joseph. And so both of these drivers are teammates, as we understand. So they tend to work together to pull away from the pack and duke it out later on. Todd, unfortunately, had some run-in with some other traffic in our last race in Mid-Ohio, but he's looking fast today.
Yeah, traffic was the main point of Mid-Ohio, that it just got so crowded that they couldn't separate from each other out there. Well, separate from the lap traffic and get a clean on run going. It was hard for guys to follow and just make their way through that traffic. They're going to have some more room here at Mosport compared to the other stuff, as, ooh, that's choice of the wall.
Oh, no.
Oh, and that start is so far out of the corner. He's held it. I thought he was going to save that, but, if he paused it right there, that would be a great photo. And just tell your friends that you made it. And we're going to stop that before we get copyright strikes.
Yeah. Oh, there's a rant if we ever needed one. If we needed to fill the airway something. Ooh, and looks like GP1, running up into the back of the GTO field already. I know these last couple races, we've seen more of this on these tracks that don't quite have as much of the open straight area for those higher class cars to run away. But yeah, Jordan Musser and Paul, they've been duking it out for a few races here. Unfortunately, Musser got taken out last race too.
Yeah, Musser was taken out by a, I believe it was a full-on GT3 car.
Yeah, like equipment failure it looked like.
Musser looking around the outside and just nowhere to go as we're riding aboard Slavonic.
Yeah, and you can see Paul is really, taking this sacrifice corner, trying to make sure he sets up wide left for that corner entry in 10 to give himself a run down through 1 and 2, which are mostly full throttle. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of lifting, some light brake, but they're pretty quick corners.
Back up to the front of the GTO category. Galloway and Peterson leading out, and look at these MX-5s just trying to catch on. We got three-way contact.
Oh no, Chris Pies is in. He's our current points leader, so that means there's some season standing up for grabs now.
Yeah, they gotta make sure get back onto the track in the safest way. That Pasta is in reverse.
Oh dear!
Yeah, it looks like he's.
And in the wall. Gradwell.
Mazda doing everything he can to get out of the way.
He's trying to get out of the way. They got tapped in the back. I'm not sure by who, though.
Yeah, do we have a chase cam for that?
I don't think it was Ben Wedge.
Oh, there it was. Is that...
Oh, it's Tom. Just got pancaked right there. And that was Slavonic.
Oh, I think it was
it's Jordan Musser.
See, Austin, I'm already trying to memorize deliveries. I saw this very striking looking Audi, but I mean that was some massive chaos because and more coming here because there was a spin for price. So in all that chaos, there was a pass for the lead because Galloway went past Peterson thanks to the traffic there just before we saw that massive collision at this very corner, and now Torres also is making acquaintances with the wall.
Yeah, turn 3 is very chaotic, especially for these GT4 cars. Watch out where he returns. Then I think he might have another bit of contact.
getting close there. You can see him trying to wait for traffic to go by, but that that lone GP1 had to react there.
And that's Carlos Cantu. He looked down the inside, trying for a early overtaking spot on Maurer ahead of him, and Cantu's got a very nice draft chance on the Andretti straight because Price behind him has a lot of damage. Uh-oh, turn 3, chaos again.
Uh-oh. Peterson could spin out on.
Oh,
no.
That is a sad sight right there, and he's still in the middle of the track. Everybody's going around him, but was that 3 Mustangs getting into each other?
Oh!
Oh! Yes, it was. It was actually 4 cars into it.
So I'm trying to...
That's the number 12.
Number 12, yeah. Maybe Corey Mitchell? It was Corey Mitchell.
He
was clipped by the Audi.
TCR off, and then he smacked hard into the wall. Came across, hit the TCR, then hit another Mustang, and then another Mustang. And just chaos right there. Bull in a china shop.
And that's unfortunate. That unsafe re-entry really caused some damage to those guys' race. That's really unfortunate.
That's going to promote Deschamps to an easy lead because those guys were right behind him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deschamps is very comfortable on the lead here in the GT2 category because, yeah, all the cars that were behind him just got taken out, wiped. He's probably looking at his relative, being like, I have a 9-second gap. He'll take it, but it's going to be a very relaxing race for him from now on. And he's just going to have to focus on crowd control. And I believe all the rest of the survivors will also be doing that as well.
All right, we got a good battle here between 1 and 2, and you can see them carrying the corners. It's makes for some excitement. Now, the entry in the Miata to this turn 1, if they're coming fast, there's going to be very little lift. You're going to lift about half throttle coming in turn 1. And as you come into turn 2, when you really start to make your time up, there's almost no lift. It's a really, really fast entry. You're going to clip the apex.
Oh, Carver and Joseph. Ooh. Joseph, look down the inside. They might be teammates, but they're still racing like they're rivals. And they better be careful because the GTO of Stab is going to swing around the outside of these two.
And guys, we haven't talked about it, but of course in real life that downy left-hander has been paved. The Rhinoff area there on the right, but in a racing, thankfully, or not thankfully, depending on your point of view, is still grass, and especially with the new tire model, which I think all of these cars have now, apart from the Mustang maybe.
Yeah, Mustang doesn't have it.
If you go there on, but even with the old tire model, if you go on the grass there, you are not coming back.
Yeah, as I've experienced that wall so many times that I really would like some paved over paving there. Please, thank you. When soon, hashtag okay cool, thanks Greg. But as for somebody who's also won a bunch of races here with somebody doing exactly that, I'm totally okay with it being there. And this is a gaggle of Mustangs and GTOs.
Or Miatas and GTOs.
Yeah, Miatas and GTOs. I don't believe the words that came out of my mouth made sense right there.
I own a Miata, and that's what I daily track on the daily. So it's calling it a Mustang makes me feel a little.
That's what I
big.
said. That's what I said. I can't believe I said that.
This has yeah. Go ahead, man.
We got a question in chat asking about expecting tires to last all day today. I believe they can, but I would find it silly. I would find it silly if you're trying to go for a position if you were worrying about tires as the power goes off.
Mayor goes off.
Oh, and he takes a turn
and he took out Pies again. Poor Pies. He's been caught twice.
So what I mean by I would find it silly if drivers were taking tires.
Oh, it's scrapping.
Oh.
I mean, this car is built like a tank, but I think he got it just in the wrong spot.
Yeah, that tire got that front right tire. Get to see it bent out. The front left tire, I mean. That camera shot that we had was just absolutely showing the incident because the way he was hit was just boom straight into the tire, into the wall. Actually, it's the back wheel.
Think it's a left rear, maybe. You got,
Left rear suspension, yeah.
Well, he's got 2 more corners to go. But wow, that is very unfortunate for Pies. Eagles got collected again.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I guess isn't necessarily very apparent as watching the race is that this is actually a really high-speed track. If we do an onboard later, it'd be great to have the freedom unit speed and gearbox display available on the MX-5s because those cars are in 4th, 5th gear almost this entire track. With the exception of turn 5, where they have to drop down to 3rd, I believe. This is a really high-speed track, and for some of the other cars, the same as well. Ooh, Daniel Sadro and Brian Sabelski. That's a close battle. Those guys are both fighting for points right now. These two drivers are fighting for 2nd in the overall standings for GP1 this year. There's 3 points separating them. So a clean race for one of them will close that gap, and a few other options. So just outright winning. So
we're on board with Savelski as he's following Sadro.
And he gets a much better entry. Oh, misses the apex on turn 10 there. Definitely slow him down as he comes front straight into turn 1. Now, Jared Joseph. All right, and so here he comes up into turn 1. So there should be very little lift here. He's going to carry it all down through 4th gear as he lets traffic through. And you'll see here in turn 2, he probably has to shift down into 4th, or stay in 4th, I guess, in turn 2. But he's going to carry at least 90 through here. But you can see, these cars don't, they struggle getting up beyond 100, but they really, they're in 3rd, 4th, and 5th almost the entirety of this track. Now this is coming up is one of my favorite corners on the track. So you got turn 4 here as you set up for turn 5, and so it's a blind entry, double apex. And you have to carry a ton of entry speed, and it feels really awkward. But you have to make sure you don't carry too much to miss this apex right here on turn 5. Because that sets you up down this straight for a real, nice long run. So even a mile-an-hour difference really is going to add up and lead to some passing down this straight. But as he gets ready to, as he comes up here, turn 7 into turn 8, he'll shift into 5th and drop it back down into 4th as he carries as much as he can through this. And you'll see him carry a pretty straight wheel as he crests the hill because he's trying to avoid the oversteer that happens right there. And then here's a sacrifice turn 9.
There's a little bit of panic in the brakes, but you see just how he's working the wheel to keep the car pointed straight and not doing any unforeseen action as Joseph is still just absolutely destroying this lap as Justin Ford.
Ooh. Oh, that's a good recovery by the Mustang, it looks like, or attempted recovery.
I think that was Meyer in the 34 Cayman.
Yeah, those camber changes can be pretty difficult on this track,
especially for those, especially for these Porsches.
Yeah. And actually, this is something that'd be good to get your thoughts on. So, when you look at the lines that these cars are running, the Miatas versus the Mustangs versus the TCR cars, they tend to run relatively different lines, but the lines run by the GT4s and the Miatas tend to be very similar. Do you think it has to do with the level of grip relative power, or what are your thoughts there?
The Miatas, the way you have to drive them to go fast is maximize the momentum. The way you have to drive the GT4 is very smooth-like and methodical. You can't urge it to do something that it doesn't want to do. So you have to go take those very methodical, long routes as that Miata is going a little bit too long right there. But
Keeps it off the wall.
Saved it. Basically, you just have to maximize that corner and not force it to go in anything. And the old term of if it looks slow, it's going fast. That's pretty much how you have to drive these GT4s.
Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and you can really see how tight turn 5 is. I think the corner radius on that is something like 34 feet, or some absurdly small corner radius. So it's definitely the tightest corner on the track.
Definitely. Some would call that a overtaking opportunity. I would just call you ludicrous. It is an overtaking opportunity, but it's a very bad pack opportunity.
Well, it is if the car in front of you goes in the grass.
That's not an overtaking opportunity. That's just a freebie.
No, that's called putting pressure on your opponent, no?
Yeah, it's called scoreboard. It's I made the pass. Doesn't matter how it happened as long as it's
exactly.
I'm gonna start using that. And if you won't find me in a commentary booth ever again, it's probably because I got banned for iRacing for screaming scoreboard so many times.
Yeah, Jordan Musser and Paul Slavonic. So this is a great battle here. I mean, Musser's definitely given him a run for his money, and we did get a comment in chat that Musser is a multi-time U.S. karting champion. So you know, good to see him bring in the karting skills here into iRacing. See how it goes the rest of the season.
Yeah, Mustard, I recognize that name. I'm not sure from where, but when I saw that comment, I'm like, that's where it was from. It just sounds so good. I was like, that name, I've heard it from somewhere. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You beat me a lot.
And you can see how much faster these cars are than the Miatas. They're easily, you know, with the draft here, of course, but they're also the only front-wheel drive car that we have on track right now, for anyone that wasn't aware.
Yeah, Slavonic looking around the outside right now. Along that long right-hander, but he's falling back. Can he set it up the inside? Yes, he does. Slavonic trying to put the elbows out on...
Trying to put the racecraft on display.
Oh, this is so good racing here. They got the GTO. Wow. Is he going to make it 3 wide? I really hope not, because this is a great battle. Buster holding that inside line. Slavonic trying to go for the outside.
Did he clip the wall?
Hitting that bump. I think he may have hit the wall.
There is a nasty bump in there on the inside, but...
Oh, Slavonic and Buster rubbing door panels right now. And Slavonic taking over the lead here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
That definitely deserves to be on a highlight reel. Wow. That's some good racing. I mean, you saw those drivers plan ahead, multiple turns ahead, especially coming into turn 1.
We'll see if Musser hit the bump.
Yeah, there's a didn't get the ball, but there's a massive bump there. And great bravery from both of these drivers. Slavonic getting the move done, but as you can see, this fight is far from over, especially because they are still nose to tail with each other, and we have a little bit less than 40 minutes still to go in this race. And as you can see, the traffic levels are like my town at 5 p.m. For those of you that don't know, I live in the capital. Well, not these days, of course, unfortunately. There is no traffic as a TCR car going wide there. But yeah, with all the difference in speed between these cars is absolutely crazy. The level of commitment and, of course, of awareness that these drivers need to have. I mean, look at that.
Look at Cantu.
Cars racing each other, going crazy different speeds. That's not just normal for me. That's every day on a Texas highway, especially around Houston. Which I know there's a lot of Texans in this group on the grid. They can agree with me that Houston traffic is nuts. You have guys just going about bumper to bumper traffic going about 80 miles an hour, where the speed limit's 50.
And it looks like Cantu got a little bit too tight on the entry to 5A there. It cost him a little bit on the exit of 5B. So he's got to hope that draft will carry him down the way. But it looks like the man he's chasing also has a draft from one of the MX-5s.
That draft is gone right now for both of them as they sail past him. As Carlos is just trying to stay with Sisson. and just prepare himself for this overtake as we have a car heading into the pits. That is Ben Wedge.
Let's see, is he looking to swap tires, get some damage repaired, maybe?
That's an early pit stop to make for strategy, but this can work for undercut. He's just deciding that the track is way too crazy right now, and might just be topping off on the fuel and headed back out there for the rest of the race.
Yeah, that actually could work because it looks like he'll come out in a relative gap. It should give him some room to, race hard here.
Yeah, so we'll see how Wedge handles this. He's already lapped down, so nothing to fear.
No tires, just the fuel.
No tires, just fuel. So he's fueling up for a ride around the country and trying to hunker down for the next 35 minutes.
Yeah, we weren't expecting anyone to stop for fuel here the next 10 minutes or so, but yeah, I guess that is a strategy option since you can do 35 minutes.
Cantu is just on still going at each other. With that early pit stop by Wedge, we might see some other takers for pit stops as well. As Cantu, he's stepping up onto the inside now. He's dancing in the mirror.
Oh, someone's engine has gone in barbecue mode.
Oh no.
Mike Bond, I think.
Little over rev, money shift.
I think Bond went into there, and he's the only car in the pit lane that I can see right now. Yes, Mike Bond in the Three Nations car. He put up a barbecue right there. Great opportunity to get some smoked steaks, smoked ribs, smoked salmon, smoky barbecue, smoked pork chops, or just a good old
do you like
smoke.
Austin?
I'm Texan, yes.
Friendly reminder that it's 3:30 in the morning here, and you don't want to get me hungry. It's a bit impractical to cook some food at this time of day.
Looks like Cantu's making a run on Season down the Andretti straight here.
Oh no, the Mustang and the MX-5, massive wreck. Massive wreck.
That MX-5 is spinning around like a dreidel. Oh my goodness, I thought Cantu was out of there, but he had a wonderful save.
Oh, this is not it. This is another crash. Okay, so we have... so what happened here? First of all, John Forbes must have hit a landmine.
Grass. Boom!
And then was Aiden Meek, I think, the other car. No, it wasn't him.
Meek did go off track right there.
I tell you what, it
was another Mustang that caused it.
Okay, so this is
unlucky today.
impossible to find what happened because
so many things just happened in front of us.
What happened on the backstretch, and going through the replays, maybe this? No, mystery. What just happened on the backstretch is a mystery. But I tell you what, big news in TCR. Because Slavonic has been clipped and has gone. Has clipped Musser and has gone white.
What a save!
By Meek or by Slavonic? We had a save from each of them, it looked like.
Both of them. Like, Slavonic was more scary because he was on new tire models and grass. Not to put down anything that Meek did. But Jordan Minitzer still out in front of all the TCRs by 3 seconds now, because I think Slavonic has some damage.
Oh no. Well, he did get the benefit of that early set of wrecks, it seemed like. But yeah, they've been duking it out. It is really interesting to note after these last few weeks, we have 4 drivers in GP1 that are all running within, 5 seconds of each other. I'm not sure if you remember, Austin, but we had quite a few races where Slavonic was 20, 30 seconds ahead of his next, fastest competitor. So definitely a lot more racing in GP1.
Yeah, with Mooser in here, it's giving someone to fight with Slavonic because he's just been dominating all these races as Savelsky and Sadger are picking their way through these Miatas.
Yeah, there's a saying we always go with that there's a missing elementary particle, and it's the Miata particle. And effectively, it causes all the Miatas on track to clump up all in one giant clump to make it as hard as possible to pass them. So, if that's not nerdy enough for you, I don't know what is.
Oh!
Nelson in the wall.
Victim of the Austin Knight grass area there.
Just anywhere somebody, the crash happens, Austin Knights crashed there, Austin Knights crashed there.
For the tracks that I've crashed at, I need to make sure I don't tell you because we'll have, crash areas named after me too.
Oh, don't worry. I put myself into great shame 1 year ago on this very channel by crashing on the backstretch at Bathurst Mount Panorama.
Wow.
Whilst looking at my live timing software, I was checking the fuel. So every time we go there, if you crash on the backstretch, no matter the series, you get the Barbanera award. But so far it has been unclaimed for more than a year.
This is why I don't race at Bathurst. So it's the Barbanera and Knights. Wall. And don't worry about the nerdy. We referenced Superman's Superdog pal Crypto, the Superdog, as well. A few broadcasts ago, so you're fine.
Well, and you can really see Price carrying as much as he can through a lot of these corners. He's been up on the curb a little bit higher than some of his competitors, and I think we'll see that again here in turn 2 and turn 3 as they come around for another lap. He's really been using all of the track these last few laps. And he avoided that big bump on the inside by the wall there. Props to him for that.
Yeah, especially in these Porsches, that bump is deadly for them.
Yep, and he's trying to work his way around that Miata.
Oh, that was a smooth move right there. Barely any deviation from the line, unlike Stab. And Price is set up to start pulling away and closing in on Stab.
Wow, the pressure here, you can really feel the pressure Price is putting on Stab. Just building as they come into 5. Who can carry the most in, but make sure they carry the most out. Looks like they got away pretty even.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Now it's just a drafting game. A bit of a battle heading above them. And that's 5th and 4th of Cantu and Sisson. But Price, he has that front end damage on his car. But they do have the Miatas in front of him. But these two are teammates, remember that. So don't expect them to go all out crazy battle with each other. They do not want to take each other out. As the Miata of
Meek.
Aiden Meek is in the pits.
Looks like we've had a few pit stops here, so everyone's kind of getting ready to refuel. And it'd be interesting as we have some of the leaders pit to see if they're grabbing tires as well.
Also, some of these pit stops were from cars that exploded on lap 1. Chris Pies being one of them. Also, Maher went into the pits as well on lap 1. Sorry, that would be lap 10 they went on.
Chris DeShong. Yeah, Chris DeShong, he took on a little bit of a lead there with some of the wrecks by those other Mustangs, which for him is great on the season. He's currently got a 12-point lead over second. Jay Tammy is currently running second in that series on the season, followed by Jeff Jacobs. So that's, he's really building his lead here if he can maintain this. But with the amount of traffic we've seen and just the susceptibility of the Mustangs to run into issues, we'll see what happens here. No commentators curse.
Look at the change in lap times between DeShong and Tammy. Tommy gained 1 second, then he basically dead it for 2 straight laps, then took away almost half a second, and then lap 22 he lost 1 second, so of course traffic playing a big part. I would say that Tommy on the overall seems to be a bit quicker than Deschamps, but of course, it goes a long way with the traffic, etc. And also the gap, 24 seconds, so he needs to put down a series of fantastic laps and spotless laps, JT Tammy, if he wants to close the gap with his class leader, as I think Carlos Cantu has had an issue.
Oh, he's hit the inside bump, and he's gone into the grass, and that's a sharp hit, and bang into the wall.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some damage after that. So.
Well, definitely, he must have. Maybe some small crab, but I don't see any crabbing happen there. It's definitely going to have some
suspension.
aero. As our Miata leader of Joseph and Todd Carver, 1 and 2 in the Miata, is heading into the pit lane, and they're going to have a little stopping battle.
What are they doing?
Oh, did they miss their pits?
They did, and I think Carver's hit the wall.
I hope they didn't have any penalties for reversing in the pit there. Right now we're relying on the automated steward, so I'm not sure how much leeway they'll allow.
Usually, if you go backwards in the pit and you do something nasty, like going backwards for too long of a time, you get immediately disqualified by iRacing. So as long as they are still on our screens, they should be in the good. But that was, very chaotic and beautifully coordinated, I might say, but not very efficient in terms of lap times. Pit times by these two guys. As you can see, 36 seconds for Joseph in his pit stall, and Carver spent 28 seconds in his pit stall.
Yeah, that's going to give Foweather some leeway if he knows where his pit stall is. And what are these cars called on iRacing? Because Prince JB10 would like to join Lee. Well, GTO is the Porsche Cayman GT4 718. The GT1 class is the Audi TCR LM.
GP1.
GP1, that's what it is.
GT1s are a bit more powerful and a bit more...
Just a little.
The Audi
and
TCR.
they're also a bit more dead than TCR, but that's another story, because unfortunately...
I'm trying to give this guy some information, guys. Come on.
All right, we'll take over for you, Austin. We'll give you...
Okay, good. I need a break.
So the GP1 are the Audi TCR cars. That's the front-wheel drive car you see here, Jordan Musser. A lot of aero. They're quick cars, but the front tires, they struggle a little bit. The GP2 are the Mustangs, the Chris DeShong and Jay Tammy that we were talking about earlier. Those cars are, a little bit heavier, but they're fast down the straights. A few seconds faster than our fourth class, which is the GP3 class, the MX-5. So the MX-5 is kind of, one of the lighter cars, lower power, all about carrying speed and not slowing down. This is a free car, so it doesn't require any purchase to join. And we have a really great depth of field there. So yeah, pick and choose your poison. Each car has its own advantages and disadvantages.
I think we have an issue for Aubrey Condal.
Oh, that's not good. She's a contender this year. Or he. I'm not sure. Either or.
And Matthew Sisson was a long way back, but just completed the pass. And I think that number 4 car has got some big damage. Maybe time to get the pit stop done and that fast repair in. No stops for the 4, so that fast repair is still available, but no. As a lot of MX-5s. Oh dear!
Oh, nice save. Off the wall, out of the way. I spoke too soon.
And now it would be... It's a bit too late, of course, to head for pit road, but full lap with the now car, of course, bit more damaged than it was before. As I said, MX-5s, Miatas, as you guys call them over there, are going in and out of the pits like there's no tomorrow. Other classes are still holding on, as you can see the pit stop counter. There it is. Yeah, basically all the other classes are still holding on unless they had some damage to do some repairs. But apart from that, the Caymans and the TCRs, Audis, and of course the Mustangs have all yet to do their passage through the pit lane. Is Austin on a strike after we corrected him?
I'm getting a drink. You told me to go on breaks. I'm getting a drink right now.
The studio's not that big. Jeez. But
That entire joke was lined up immediately.
So, we were talking, Daniel, before the broadcast as Condal now goes into the pits. You were saying that there are some drivers tonight that are running that, as Choice, I think, has gone hard into the wall. They're running basically real-life liveries that they, run in real series. Of course, with Motorsport being more or less in a holding pattern worldwide, they are using this time to bring their real liveries into the virtual world of iRacing.
Yeah, we were hoping, I think there were a few drivers that had commented, it'd be nice to, get a shot of the livery. I know, we could pick a class and start with that and try and make our way through before the next 20 minutes are over.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you talk and I follow.
All right, well, let's start with Rye Galloway and let's see what he's got and what he's running here. So hopefully help us identify him. It's, the number 1 car. Yep, we saw him at Mid-Ohio have a little bit of a rough race. But rocking the red and white, and I'm not sure if he has the sponsors on. I know in the GT4 class we do have a few guys representing wheel-to-wheel racing, and so they do run that livery as well. Let's see, and the next L. Peterson, let's just get to take a look at his car, see what kind of work he did painting his. Just okay, flat black. Any sponsor logos we can identify? Nope, just the Michelin Man on the top.
I see it's very colorful, blue, white, black. And a sponsor on the side, which I cannot...
Ah, there it is. Okay, I must not have the paint pack loaded. There we go. Well, so I can't
wheel-to-wheel. Yeah, that's the wheel-to-wheel car you were talking about.
Perfect. I might let you talk through the paints as we just scroll through them briefly.
That's a black car, Matthew Sisson. You can see... and then you have the 2 teammates here with their Liqui Moly livery, all in almost a Smurf blue, which I absolutely love. Stab and Price, I cannot make out what they have on their hood. They are going so fast. And then Cantu also running with this flat black livery. Abricondal with this is one of the most used liveries on trading paints for this car. And Chris Spice is also using that wheel-to-wheel livery we were talking about. Same livery for Condal is on the number 34 of Maher. Then we have Tom Gradwell here with a default iRacing paint. Nice car. I think it's a default iRacing paint. Yes, it is. And finally, I think Will Choice also running a very simple iRacing scheme. I think even though he's got a couple of sponsors here and there, but very small, very tough to pick out. And unfortunately, that car is a little bit, damaged here and there.
The decals are scratched up, but I can make out Choice Racing on the side.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Austin coming in for the save. By the way, I just noticed we had a change of position for the leadership in TCR, and that's why.
Oh, wow. Jordan Musser took a little off-track excursion to look like there.
That was a big off-track for him.
I guess they almost look like a rallycross car, so... Yeah, just carried a little too much into 5A there, and could be the front tires giving out on that car since they have to do a lot of work. They're using them to stop, to turn, and to go. So, that car in particular struggles with the fronts more than any other car here.
And we have a few questions of which of the drivers are sim drivers and which of them are WRL drivers. And I'm gonna be the person to tell you most of them are WRL drivers.
Yeah, you know, I will try and make sure for the next race I have a list of exactly who is a WRL driver and who is a sim driver. I know if I were not announcing, I'd be racing now, rocking the 3D racing livery. We race in WRL as well. Yeah, I think we've got a lot of drivers here. I know Rye Galloway, obviously all the guys running the wheel-to-wheel racing liveries race in WRL. There's a bunch of other guys we've seen that in the interviews talk about it. So I'll do a better job of bringing that to the next race.
I would say about 75% of the field.
That sounds
good.
about right to me.
I think Cantu has had the final wreck of his race.
Oh no! Oh!
And he had to tow back to the pits after this massive shunt. As you can see, he's sitting in the pits, towing back with massive damage to his car.
Marco, what's that song that you like to sing whenever a Porsche has a crash and you see the wheel leaving?
Ah, it's a quote from Darrell Waltrip. You picked the right time to leave me, loose wheel. But you know, we don't have the new damage model here, so there are no
Well,
loose
I can
wheels.
tell you, the grip totally picked the right time to leave him. Zavelski sitting up there in third place. He's got Sadro on his tail.
Ooh, getting a little bit trafficy in turn 5 there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The Sterling Moss corner.
$15 minutes remain here at Canadian Tire.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a TCR.
Just
He's given a little bit too much room, which some of the drivers that I know, if you ever drive in multi-class events, say that you should always go out to the wall, even if it's off track. Just make it out of the way. Yes, I came from a GTE driver.
those GTE cars are definitely quick beasts.
Including the M8s, wide beast.
Mm-hmm. Enormous.
What's the largest car you've seen in WRL race?
Ooh, great question. You know, the largest one I can remember is probably the Corvettes. There's a bunch of C5s that run. I want to say like Bondstormer Motorsports and a few others. There's a few guys that run the C5 Corvettes. We've seen some Mustangs run, but those are probably some of the larger on the weight scale cars that run. Yeah, I think there's a few Ginettas that run, but they're pretty light, pretty small. You know, a bunch of GT4s, a bunch of M240IRs. Yeah, a lot of E36s and so on down the list. But I would say, yeah, the bigger cars are probably the Corvettes.
Yeah, I remember I went to a 24 Hours of Lemon event. Somebody had a Hummer.
Yeah, a little bit different racing there. A little bit different. Wow, and Joseph there really carrying some speed through that corner. Joseph and Carver both. So they come around turn 3
teammates
here.
going side by side. They're with the 319 of the MX-5s, and they're just going to have to say, no, you go first, or you do. This is going to get very tricky for Carver.
We got a Drift King Joseph there as you watch him carrying the rear sliding through most of these corners. Yeah, that was... he's got some car control down, guys.
Oh, yeah. I totally expect that from Jared Joseph right there. But Carver was skating it, flirting with disaster around the outside of turn 4.
Where do we have some other battles here? Trying to look at live timing and see if we can find some more battles here. Looks like
Yeah, this is the closest fight that we have on the field between cars of the same class, because this battle here doesn't count between Kandal and Slavoni. Just made the overtake the Porsche on the on the Audi, but yeah, Szabelski and Sadro are really going at it, and Sadro might be ready to, you know, try to make this move. He has been waiting in the wings for so many laps, but still not finding the right moment to go and try to make the move. And this is, of course, for the podium in class.
Yep, absolutely. On that topic, you know, you mentioned Aubrey Kundal. Aubrey Kundal is currently in a three-way battle for fourth in GTO, but it looks like Peterson, running second in class right now, is, you know, going to take a lead in points there. But that's, you know, that battle has 2 points separating three drivers, so that's a, you know, that's a really tight fight.
I was just about to mention the points and separation between a few of these drivers, because he went over them at the start today. And for these people that are following, we got a lot of fights going on through the field.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, Zawalski's off and in the wall. Turn 3 takes another victim.
This is the reverse commentator's curse. The moment you take the cameras away, something happens. Poor Brian, hard into the barriers, and Daniel gets up into third.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a place to start. Yeah, so in GP1, which we were just watching those cars, Paul Slavanek is currently first in class, 5 points ahead of Szabelski and 8 points ahead of Sadro. So that's a three-way battle for first in GP1, which is pretty exciting. These two drivers in GP3, Joseph and Carver, are both 5 points apart fighting for first in class, and they're quite a ways ahead from third, GMAC. But we have a four-way battle for fourth between Bond, Brockway, Stevie Ray, and Wedge, all battling for fourth in class. And it looks like Stevie Ray is making the best of that right now, sitting fourth in class in GP3. GP2 is a little bit less action. Chris DeShong is 12 points ahead of JT Tammy, and Jeff Jacobs is third in class at 30. But GTO, we've got quite a few battles. Wow, look at him right on the bumper through turn 5 there. Carver just carrying everything he can up over that crest down the straight here.
Carver has been gaining and gaining and gaining lap after lap, and now you were saying that these two guys like to fight towards the end of the race. Seems like Carver is the quicker driver in these final few minutes and going for the move and for the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rock City Racing Boys are going to put that last name of their team to the point right there, as they're going to start racing each other. Carver's swinging around the outside. He has the inside now, and I believe he's going to sneak his way into the lead. No, he's not, as Joseph is still there. Carver's swinging around the outside, trying to go for the switchback, and he's dancing all bumper. Them GTO's right there. He's going to say no to Carver, and Carver getting reverse blocked by a GTO. It is still Joseph and Carver racing nose to tail right now, heading down into turn 1.
Yeah, we'll see some action here in turn 2 and turn 3, because these two drivers seem to take a slightly different line through it. Seeing Joseph pull away there.
Carver went down the inside early on, and he's going down the inside a lot. Look how much ground he's gained on.
Yeah, and this is definitely a track that favors entry speed. So, that onboard chase is great. But this is definitely a track that favors entry speed, especially coming up here into the blind entry at turn 5. The drivers need to carry as much as they can, but not miss the second half of 5 here, right here. Look at that.
Going to have a better exit here. A little bit of a curb hit for Carver, but Carver is going to have all the speed with the draft. And here goes Joseph down onto the inside. I didn't forget his name, I swear. And he's just sitting onto the inside of the track. Carver swinging around the outside, but it was a little bit too early. He's out of the draft, and here comes a TCR. He's gonna, oh, great think about a TCR. But Joseph hit the brakes a little bit too early, and Carver's swinging ahead. And Carver's got a car length on Joseph. That TCR has helped him out. And Carver is your new leader here in the MX-5s.
This is an exciting battle here, because you can see Joseph trying to make a run down through turn 1 here. So this will be, both of them look like they're carrying a lot of oversteer through some of these turns. So I'm sure their rear tires are definitely getting. Carver riding that slide out through turn 2. See what happens up over the crest of turn 3 here, if he can hold on to it.
Yeah, we were talking about the different lines, but Joseph is struggling with turn 3 throughout most of this race, and that's allowing Carver to start pulling away. But the draft is pulling Joseph back in, but he's got these 2 faster classes behind him. Actually, all 3 of the fastest classes behind him in reverse order, too. So this is going to get a little bit messy with these guys.
Well, let's see if Joseph can catch a draft here and maybe take advantage of it.
Well, he's not diving down to the inside because he sees Ryan Galloway to start passing everybody, the overall leader, as he's got a comfortable 18-second lead ahead of everybody else. So even in a 1-2 battle, they're still conservative and letting the other cars by.
And Austin, of course, something that is always important to notice, I don't think there is a car on iRacing that is more draft sensitive than this MX-5, so we'll have to see on the...
Carver went a little bit loose.
I mean, as long as Joseph is in the draft, he still has a chance of bringing home the victory. And you know, sometimes traffic works in favor of one, but other times it will work in favor of the other driver. So still all to play for in this category in these final few laps of the race.
I couldn't agree more, Marco. I mean, that car, you know, it doesn't have a ton of power, and draft really makes a big difference. And you'll have some skill in kind of planning, and as we see Joseph making a move down the inside of turn 3, where we think we've seen him have trouble earlier. Ooh, they're going side by side down into 4. Oh, looks like Carver took it back. Still more faster traffic behind for them to deal with. And if we think back to week 1, these 2 drivers had a GTO car come in and cause some contact that changed the outcome of the race for them.
Just quickly, let's check in on our race leader. So he's lapping in the 25s, so still got 2 or 3 laps left. So we'll check back on him when the white flag comes, but back to this fight. Beautiful fight between Joseph and Carver.
Yep, here's that trade-off in turn 9. You can see Carver tap his brakes. He got a little too hot coming out of turn 9 there. Let's see if Joseph can take advantage of it in 1 and 2. You can hear Carver left off the throttle a little bit too much there. Generally, that turn is a half throttle turn for the cars. So, you know, look at Joseph make a run down the inside.
He snuck past him.
Using
Joseph
all
held
the
the corner
track.
wide, but now Joseph has the outside line on his least favorite corner. Joseph's gone wide. Joseph's almost gone off the track, and Carver's going to snake his way back in there.
I mean, the way these guys are sliding in this corner is absolutely unreal to watch them slide. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, and they are still going at it once again. As long as they're in the draft of each other, this is not over. And once again, here we go on the backstretch. One more time.
The draft for Joseph is key right now. They have a few cars coming by that TCR is not going to get by. Well, now he does. He was just thinking about it, and then he decided, yeah, it was probably a good idea. And here comes Joseph on Carver. Galloway sets a new fastest lap for the GTOs, a 1:23.977, but I'm not even going to focus on that anymore. As Carver taking it to the defensive line, he's going wide. Look at Joseph now, starting to close in. As I see the flagman starting to repair it, I'm going to let Marco say it.
I don't think it's a last lap, Austin, because
Take it, Marco. I've got the build up and everything. I just wanted to freaking that.
But I cannot say it if it's not the final lap, you know?
I know.
You're fired, Austin.
I think we have this lap and one more because Galloway crossed the start-finish line with 1 minute and a half left.
Galloway's on the back end. I'm just too excited, man. This is one great battle we got.
Yeah.
Just have to wait a few seconds and we will do it.
All right, I'm patient. 30 seconds left. Here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Carver, Joseph, battling hard in the GTOs. We're going to look at the overall leader of Ryan Galloway. 20 seconds remain for him, but he's got one more corner to go. And now, the flagman waves the white flag in the air.
Sale la Blanca here at Mosport.
1 lap to go. And now, Carver and Joseph in a massive draft battle. Joseph diving down, going to use some of that Mustang draft. That car literally double the size of the MX-5. And now Carver sending it around the outside, but Joseph's got the inside line. This is TCR stopped around the outside. They're still side by side with 2 corners to go.
Did
and
Sadro run out of fuel?
Swinging around the outside.
That looked like Musser.
Or Musser, yeah, that's Musser, sorry.
Yeah, that is Musser stopped on track. As Carver now looking around the outside of Joseph as the 2 MX-5s are having a good old karting battle here on the last lap here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. 1 lap to go between these 2. Joseph bouncing the car along turn 3. And here comes Carver, going to try to pressure Joseph onto the inside right here. Joseph's been struggling with this corner all the time. Here comes Carver trying to look around the outside and go for a switchback, but Joseph parked his car where Carver wanted to go, denied it. And this is some great racing for the Rocksteady boys. We're going to take a little break and go to the leader of the GTO class and the overall winner of the race, Ryan Galloway, takes the win here at Mosport. And back to our feature presentation with the battle for the lead in the MX-5s.
Paul Slavonic takes the lead in GP1, but here we are. Yep, coming down. Only a few corners left for these guys. So they're going to lay it all out, hopefully.
As Chris Song takes a demanding, commanding, dominating, another word of ing, victory here at Mosport. As Carver ahead of Joseph. Joseph has 2 more corners to go. They might get a little bit elbows out racing with each other. Joseph with the switchback. He's getting so close. Joseph looking down to the inside. Side by side they go. Carver and Joseph banging wheels. And it's going to be Carver. Todd Carver taking the victory here for the iWRL at Mosport.
Beautiful stuff. What a race. Beautiful, beautiful finish in the MX-5. But great racing all around and really, really fantastic driving. Beautiful racetrack, beautiful cars. And now we just wait for everyone to come home, hopefully safe and sound.
Yep.
Let's see what happened to Musser, by the way.
Did he just lose fuel?
Car is eerily silent, as you can see.
Yeah, that is out of fuel. And there is the whimpering of the engine of just asking for some fuel. Try to get in there. But what a race. Galloway, Slavonic, the Zhang, Carver, your winners today, as I think everyone is out of fuel right now. We had a little bit of a demo derby at Mid-Ohio, but I don't think we're going to get that here today.
I think they're going to try. They'll usually try, usually in turn 1, if there's room.
I don't think these guys are going for it right now. And they're just going to sit there and relax. Here are your overall results here today. Ryan Galloway takes the win ahead of Leith Peterson, followed by Matthew Cezanne, John D. Price, David Stab, Aubrey Cundale in 6th place, in overall 7th.
You want them by class, Austin? Maybe it's better?
I would prefer them by class. As, they're getting going right now in the background. Aubrey Cundale in 6th, followed by Chris Pies, Joseph Maurer, Carlos Cantu, Tom Gradwell, Real Choice, and Rafael Torres Jr.
Oh dear! What was that?
Daniel, I'll let you take class 2.
All right, we got Paul Slavonic taking it first here. Daniel Sadro bringing up 2nd. Brian Sabelski rounding out your podium. Felix Bordati, followed by Jordan Musser in 4th and 5th. In 6th, we have Alex Nelson. 7th, Louis Morga. And 8th, Chris Sarian. And so that's a little more participation than we've had in GP1 before. In GP2,
Marco?
Chris DeShong takes the win in the Mustangs in front of JT Tammy. Tommy Regan rounds up the podium. Then Justin Ford, Corey Mitchell in 5th place. Austin Henry retired together with, of course, Corey Mitchell himself, Randy Mathis, and unfortunately Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah, it was chaotic in GP2 and GP4, providing the heartbeat of this entire series. Todd Carver takes the win ahead of Jared Joseph, Simon Foweather in third, followed by Stevie Ray, Alex Zuga, John Forbes, Ben Wedge, Greg Brockway, Aiden Meek, and Alan Dobbs, Rob Coolez, Greg Mack, Mike Bond, Mitchell Peak, and Kyle Holder at the back of the Class 4 grid.
Wow, what a spectacular race, at least from my perspective. I'll let everyone else be the judge of that themselves. But we saw some great racing. We saw a little unfortunate contact, but overall, it looked really good.
And we have a interview with the winner of the MX5's, Todd Carver.
Hey guys, how are you?
Speechless and wanting to watch the replay of those last 10 minutes, because that was amazing, the battle you had for the win.
Oh my gosh, if anybody ever said we don't race each other hard because we're teammates hasn't watched this race. That was we always basically, right, you got that, hey, race starts, let's gap everyone and then let's fight later on. And so that's what we did. And just there was no hold bar, door to door, give an inch but take two.
It certainly looked like give an inch, take two with you in the final 10 minutes. Any fears that you two might have had a little bit of contact to decide the race, or was that the closest race that you've ever had?
So as we've become teammates and been racing more with each other this year, we've gotten pretty comfortable with each other, and we practice going side by side like that, sticking the passenger mirror inside the other guy's car. So we're both gentlemen guys, but we both want to race hard. So no real fears that we were going to hit each other. I was more concerned about being so laser focused on that battle and maybe not paying attention to traffic coming through.
All right. Well, you gave us an amazing show. Before we let you go, I'm going to see if Daniel and Marco have any closing questions for you.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on just some of the battles that were happening around turn 3. It seemed like the two of you, there was just this confluence of events that always created some friction, some tension around turn 3. Could you kind of walk us through a little bit of what you were seeing and feeling, and how you made that overtake late in the race?
So we'd kind of practiced running that inside line, that outside line, and so we were both prepared for whatever the race was going to give us. And I lost the lead to him early on when I misread one of the Porsche cars. Made me go wide, and I ended up kind of squaring it off. So late in the race, I was trying to more dictate where the traffic was going to go, and managed to close the gap on him by doing that. And I just managed to get a little more speed on that inside line, and we were 99% past, and we do not want to run that downhill section side by side, so he lifted just so we didn't turn each other. And then it was just, there was a lot of excitement there. The second to last corner, we had a gaggle of about 5 Porsches about 20 some odd minutes into the race, and it kind of gapped us about 3 seconds out, so just had to work that ebb and flow of traffic and catch back up to him.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a lot of fun. While you were.
Yeah,
that was a workout for sure.
I have a question for you, and we talked a lot about the beautiful things that you and your teammate did during the race, but what happened in the pit stop? Like, you guys seem to be a little bit confused.
That was not our pit stop during qualifying, and my memory had always told me that the pit stop you have during qualifying is the one you have during the race. And so we came into pit lane, and I see him 90 degrees on the road, and I thought he had spun. And he was actually trying to get into his pit stall. And if he had not done that, I would have driven straight through pit lane looking for my box because our pit boxes were about 30 spots back than what we thought they were going to be.
Well, thankfully everything went well in the end. If well, first of all, again, congratulations for the race. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Of course, I want a big shout out to my wife right now. We've had big internet problems over the last, well, really kind of during this whole quarantine thing. So I have the house on total internet lockdown right now. So big thanks to her. Big thanks to Jared we put in a lot of time at this track and we really kind of honed our craft here. So big thanks to both of them.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Todd, and we'll catch you very, very soon.
Thank you guys.
Austin? We lost Austin, but Daniel, I think we have Paul Slavonic ready for an interview with you.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations, Paul. It was really a fun race to watch. It seemed like you had some, a little bit more action than you'd like in a few instances. How do you feel?
No, that was awesome. Having a good battle with Jordan for the majority of the race. It was really awesome, to be honest. Just a really good chase through the field and cutting through traffic and everything. And I had an off at first, and thank goodness for front wheel drive cars, just hit the gas and it straightens itself out. And then I think he went off, and then I went off, and then I think it was just traffic in the end that really was the deciding factor. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. I love that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was really fun to watch from here. I think something that's characterized your racing as we've seen it has been you've been really cool, collected, really light on the incident count. Today it seemed like you had a little bit more trouble than usual. Like, what do you chalk that up to? Was it the field, the track, the conditions? What are your thoughts there?
It was Jordan. just going full send on him. He definitely had his gloves out and everything. So I said, all right, I'll get my gloves out too. So I could tell early on he was feeling pretty feisty and everything. So I figured we're both in for a good 1 hour race. So, let's get the elbows out and just have a good brawl and everything. So we didn't take each other out, which is good. That's when the fun ends and everything. But it was a little more aggressive than I normally do. But at the end of the day, I think we both had a good race. I think we both put on a good show and everything. And man, it was just fun. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all you can hope for, right?
Absolutely.
It felt like you guys also had to deal with a little bit of traffic. There was more than maybe I was expecting you guys to have to deal with. It seemed like every time you'd get close, there were 3 or 4 other cars that you guys had to deal with.
Yeah, and that was really when we were chasing too. That's really what determined this entire race, was that just the traffic and not so much the Miatas. I was surprised by the number of Caymans that we were catching up to, and we would catch up to them in the corners and they'd pull away in the straight, and we kind of have this slinky effect back and forth. So most of the traffic was pretty good. It's just that the slower Caymans, you really have to kind of play off of them and see where it goes. But yeah, traffic, well, it wasn't as bad as Mid Ohio, so I guess that's uphill from there. But all things considered, it was pretty well behaved, for the most part.
Yeah, it seemed like folks were trying to do their part, but yeah, it's definitely not a very forgiving track. I guess before I let you go, any last thoughts or anyone you want to thank?
Oh, I just got to thank the WRL for hosting this series. Got to thank you guys for broadcasting us and everything, and I got to thank Jordan for hanging in there and getting his gloves up, and also the communication for all the guys that were in the room tonight was really good, and they were really kind of letting everyone know what they were doing. So it was much less chaotic than it was last time. So definite improvement from last time.
Absolutely. Well, it's great having you here, and looking forward to some good racing for you in the coming races there with Jordan.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
See you at Road America in 2 weeks.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. All right. See you guys then.
All right. Let's see. Well, Marco, do we have anyone else waiting for our interview?
I don't think so. Hopefully Austin is back with us.
Yes, I am. I didn't accidentally mute myself like the first time.
Perfect.
I'm gonna ping Rye to see if we can get him to come in and chat, because I think he had a little bit of a rough race last week, and this was went a little bit different for him. So it'd be good to get his take on kind of what went well, and what were some of the adjustments that he made week over week.
Well, with next race being at Road America, I like to call it the Draft Factory. We're going to see a lot of racing there and a bit of traffic there as well, because we all know on how crazy traffic could get going down that very tight road they have there. And I wouldn't expect a lot of 3 wide, but expect some craziness to happen there, and it's going to be very fun.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess Rye is not going to be joining us, and I don't see Chris DeShong either. Not sure where he went, but we'll have to catch up with him maybe next week.
All right, well, I'll leave it to Marco to close us out.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot to everyone that watched us, and of course, big thanks to Austin Knight, Daniel Dorr, of course, myself, Marco Barbanera. As per usual, from everyone here at Apex Racing TV, I wish you a good night and, more importantly, some happy racing.